At Portland Regionals, we saw an interesting Solgaleo with the Tera Rock with weakness policy paired up with Calyx Shadow Rider. We don't see Solgaleo too much in the format, so I'm interested to try it out and see how well it can perform. This is Zach's Solgaleo team where he was able to go 5-3 at the Portland Regional Championship, and it's kind of funny because he's actually used weakness policy Solgaleo before, but in Generation 8, this is his Gen 9 spin on a comfort pick. Let's break it down. First up, we have the Light Clay Grimmsnarl extending the screen turns from 5 turns to 8 turns with the Prankster ability giving a +1 to all status moves, with the Ghost Terra typing to help out against fake outs, so you can go for a Thunder Wave or you can get your screen up. You have Spirit Break, Light Screen, Reflect, and Thunder Wave. Pretty standard Grimmsnarl. Spirit Break, a pretty good fairy type attack, can lower the special attack damage output of your opponent. The Light Screen and Reflect screens are just really good at reducing the damage from the opponent. And Thunder Wave as speed control. Pretty standard Grimmsnarl, not much to say. It is a very big nuisance and great for setting up Pokemon, especially for win cons, and especially when you're going for your win con being your weakness policy Solgaleo. It makes sense to keep it under screens because it is not the bulkiest Pokemon in the world. We have max HP on the Grimmsnarl, 108 defense and 148 special defense. With a careful nature, it's just supposed to be able to tank those attacks from the Calyx Shadow Rider. With a light screen, you're able to live attacks from a Rhydon pretty comfortably and still have a good amount of physical defense in case you have to deal with the Rapid Strike Urshifu and other physical attacks like the Calyx Ice Rider Glacial Lance. Next Pokemon we have is the Focus Sash Calyx Shadow Rider to ensure it is able to survive a one hit with the As 1 ability, Water Terra type, which is a good defensive typing to help out against like the Water Urshifu, especially ones under Rain that are Choice Scarf or under Tailwind, because that would be a way to be able to break through the Shadow Rider and KO it, ignoring the Sash. So you have that Terra Water typing in case you absolutely do need to set up with a Bulldoze or Astral Barrage if there is a Water Urshifu in the Rain matchup with the Astral Barrage, Pollen Puff, Bulldoze, and Protect. Interesting Calyx Shadow Rider set. We see Pollen Puff generally on Terapagos teams, but since this team is more focused around the weakness policy Solgaleo, being able to heal the Solgaleo does make a lot of sense, and also gives your Calyx Shadow Rider a way to be able to hit the Dark type Pokemon as well as for Rigraff for some decent damage is pretty nice. With the Astral Barrage, strong Ghost type move, you pretty much don't run Shadow Rider without it. And then Bulldoze, which is a weak ground type move that hits the entire field, including your ally, and it does lower the speed of all Pokemon that is hit by the Bulldoze. And it does partner with the Solgaleo, especially with its ability that makes it immune to stat drops. You should go for the Bulldoze. It lowers the speed of the opponent's Pokemon with dynamic speed. That means your Solgaleo should outspeed most other of the Pokemon on the field against it, and then be able to fire off a really strong hit afterward. The EV spread, it is a pretty offensive Calyx Shadow Rider with max speed, timid nature. Of course, against opposing Calyx Shadow Rider, you pretty much have to go max speed in the format. 212 with the investment into the special attack, 36 in HP and 4 in the defenses. I'm not exactly sure what the extra bulk really accomplishes. I looked at a few different calcs. There really isn't too much I could say. I think against Jolly Choice Scarf Urshifu with a Terra Water, it's able to survive the Surging Strikes pretty much almost every time, except maybe like a 3% chance to go down, which gives it a good favorable roll. But pretty much it is just a Focus Sash Calyx Shadow Rider. It's able to absorb the attacks with the Focus Sash, and with max speed and max special attack, threaten good amount of damage and support to Solgaleo. Next Pokemon we have is the Life Orb Landorus Incarnate with the Sheer Force ability that removes secondary effects from your attacks, however boosts the power of the moves even further, and even ignores the Pokemon from taking Life Orb recoil with the Water Terra type with Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, Substitute, and Protect. Landorus Incarnate really strong. It was able to win the prior regional in the Utrecht special event, and it is a pretty good mon to help out against Miraidon. It's immune to the Bulldoze, so it's another mon that could partner up with the Calyx Shadow Rider. You could go for Bulldoze next to the Landorus Incarnate. Since the Landorus is unaffected because it's a flying type, then can follow up with like an Earth Power or a Sludge Bomb. Really nice against opposing Miraidons and more. So it is a Pokemon that can threaten quite a bit here with just good coverage in general. Substitute because you don't need Sandsear Storm. It's not a rain team. If you don't want to rely on inaccurate moves, why not click Substitute with the Landers, have it stick around on the field, and if it is able to get a free Substitute up, it is a pretty big threat because Earth Power and Sludge Bomb from a Life Orb Sheer Force Landers is doing a ton of damage. Max speed Landers Incarnate with a bit of special attack with 204, 36 special defense for physical defense, and 12 HP. Not exactly sure if the defensive calcs really changed too much here, but it is Landorus Incarnate. It's still able to do much with the Life Orb Sheer Force boost. It just makes Earth Power and Sludge Bomb really hard to switch into. It's going to do a ton of damage regardless and be able to outspeed threats such as the Chi-Yu that is max speed, the max speed base 100s, and of course with the Bulldoze Shadow Rider can of course make it even more potent to outspeed and threaten the huge damage dealers. Next Pokemon we have is the Wellspring Ogerpon with the Wellspring Mask, the Water Absorb, and the Water Tera type with the Ivy Cudgel, Follow Me, Wood Hammer, and Spiky Shield. We don't really see Wellspring Ogerpon too much in the format, but it does help out, especially into some specific matchups. Mainly it is going to be the Kyogre matchup, and the restrictors that we have here don't exactly do well into the Kyogre and the Tornadus pairing especially. So having a Pokemon that is able to really help out in that matchup is pretty important, and that's where this Wellspring Ogerpon is, because with the Water Absorb ability, pretty much are just able to wall the Kyogre straight up. Like Thunder isn't doing too much damage, and you're able to threaten Force Terror with Wood Hammer, and Ivy Cudgel in the rain will hurt opponents. With Ivy Cudgel, good water type move, of course, has a decent chance to crit. Follow Me for redirections, of course, a nice pairing. Can help out against like the Surging Strikes Urshifus from affecting the Solgaleo, the Landorus Incarnate, the Incineroar Shadow Rider, and more. The Spiky Shield, of course, to keep itself around, and the Wood Hammer is great to threaten the water types and the water Teras. We have the Wellspring Ogerpon being a pretty fast set. It's able to outspeed Animate Urshifu. It's able to outspeed quite a bit of the neutral speed base 100s, and it is able to dish out a decent amount of damage with the Adamant Nature, 12 in attack, but still be able to tank attacks with the 188 HP and the 116 defense, especially because you want to be able to tank moves like the U-turns or the close combats from the Urshifu especially. And yes, this Wellspring Ogerpon just supposed to help out in the Kyogre against rain teams in general, especially just redirecting the attacks that could threaten the Solgaleo and the partners. Next up, we have the Assault Vest Incineroar with the Intimidate ability, the Ghost Terror type with Fake Out, U-turn, Flare Blitz, and Knockoff. Pretty standard Incineroar with the Assault Vest, classic moves in general, just a great Pokemon with Fake Out, being able to pivot with U-turn. Intimidate, of course, just able to lower the attack on the opponent's side. And then we see the Incineroar actually does have the Ghost Terror type, which was its most common Terror typing before this regulation. It swapped to Bug Terror type, take on Calyrex, Shadow Rider, and Zamazenta is a bit better. However, why not have the Ghost Terror type be immune to the Body Press, which the team can struggle a bit of switching into otherwise. And you do have like Landorus Incarnate and the Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Bulldoze, and the Grimmsnarl that can be disruptive to that duel anyway. So having the Ghost Terror type, which can just be good against neutral fake outs like from the opponent's side, the fighting types in general you're just immune to, so it can help out there, and you can actually threaten some decent damage to Zamazenta because you do run the Flare Blitz and Knockoff to get rid of any items. EV spread wise, it is just a very physically defensive Incineroar designed to take the Surging Strikes from the Rapid Strike Urshifus as well as it can, especially if they have a non-boosting item. It's a pretty good chance for the Incineroar to survive, and the rest just going into its special defense with 4 in attack and speed remaining. It is just supposed to be able to switch in to those Glacial Lances, 2 Surging Strikes, and it is able to just support the rest of the team. It's just a good mom. What else to say about Incineroar? The final Pokemon we have is the Solgaleo with the Weakness Policy, which is able to give it a +2 attack and special attack boost one time when it is hit by a move that is super effective against it. With the Full Metal Body, that is a ability that just prevents the Solgaleo from getting its stat dropped in general. With the Rock Terror type, which is interesting, but it still is a ground weakness, which is important for the Bulldoze strategy, and then powers up its Rock Slide, which is able to hit the fire types like Incineroar, Terrifire, Koraidon, Ho-Ohs, which can be a little bit annoying to the team. So being able to hit those Pokemon especially can be very nice. A spread move has chance with Grimmsnarl for Thunder Wave plus Rock Slide flinches and paralysis can be very disruptive, buying turns for Solgaleo. The Sunsteel Strike is a great Steel type move, single target, pretty strong, and also ignores abilities like the Sturdy ability from Cornerstone Ogerpon. Psychic Fangs is really nice because if you're fighting against opposing screens, you are just able to get rid of them using the Psychic Fangs. It's also really good because it's the same type attack bonus, pretty strong physical psychic type move. The EV spread, you pretty much have to go max speed at least minimum with the Solgaleo with a neutral nature to outspeed a Calyrex Shadow Rider after a Bulldoze speed drop from your own Shadow Rider. So you pretty much have to go max speed, so you can go for like the Bulldoze plus the Sunsteel Strike double up. You run a lot of attack on the Solgaleo because it doesn't have the highest attack for restricted, 137 base, so 188 with an adamant nature is able to have a pretty good amount of attack, and then the remainder having a little bit go into HP defense and 60 in special defense to take on the special attacks a little bit better, since you do have intimidate. Overall, Solgaleo, we don't commonly see it as much because of the fact that psychic is just such a weird typing on a defensive mod. It does have some utilization of tools. It does get access to wall charge, trick room, pretty good coverage. This one is a fun fact that Zach did get second place at a tournament. I believe it was the Vancouver Regional Championship back in 2022, and he ended up using this weakness policy Solgaleo with Dynamax, but instead we are going to be seeing it utilized with Terastallization instead. It's a bit weaker because it doesn't get the Steel Strike and the Max Quake boost, because that would boost your defense while being a really strong single target ground coverage and steel type coverage option, but it is still able to threaten quite a bit of damage with that weakness policy and dish out a good amount of damage while having some solid natural bulk. So how to use the team? A lot of the team is utilizing the Solgaleo. You have a lot of ways to set up, using the Grimmsnarl to reduce the damage, as well as the Thunderwave speed control, your Calyrex Shadow Rider, of course, for the Bulldoze and the weakness policy setup with the Solgaleo. With the weakness policy, go for a really strong follow-up damage afterward. Pollen Puff to heal the Solgaleo. You have the Fake Out plus Intimidate from Incineroar to pivot around, again making it easier for Solgaleo to position. The Follow Me Redirection from the Ogerpon, and you have Landis Incarnate with Substitute that is able to threaten quite a bit of damage with that Life Orb Sheer Force. There are a lot of different leads. You could lead Grimmsnarl stuff with Incineroar. You could lead Grimmsnarl Calyrex. Grimmsnarl plus Solgaleo is pretty solid. Incineroar can lead with anything, of course. Landis Incarnate could be a really threatening lead because it can go for a really strong Earth Power Sludge Bomb, which has great coverage, or a setup substitute immediately. You have quite a few options. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. But before we get started, let me know in the comments down below what you think about the Gen 7 Legends, because really the only one we commonly see is Lunala. I feel like Lunala got the best toolkit out of all the restricteds in Gen 7 when we compared the Necrozma forms alongside Solgaleo Lunala. Like, its clear winner is going to be Lunala, but I think Solgaleo could have some cool things that it can do, and let me know what you think about Solgaleo down below in the comments. And yeah, let's get started and play some games. All right, we have Calyrex Shadow Rider, Terapagos, Urshifu, Incineroar, the Amoonguss, and Rillaboom. I actually really like this matchup for the most part. If I get a Thunder Wave off into the... So there are a few ways I can play this. I can play this aggressively with Shadow Rider or not. I think I like Shadow Rider lead with Solgaleo. I think it's pretty good. Incineroar is really strong next to Grimmsnarl. I just don't know if I want to lead the Incineroar or lead the Shadow Rider Solgaleo mode or set up the screens. The problem with screens is it allows the Amoonguss turns to build up, which means they could go for Spore and be really annoying. I think it's just better to go with this. I think so. I think the only thing I'd be considering is, do I want Wellspring Ogerpon over the Incineroar? I feel like I always bring Incineroar though. Incineroar is just such a good switch in against this team. But Wellspring Ogerpon could have had Redirection, which could support the Solgaleo, especially against the Urshifu, because Urshifu might be scary if it's Choice Scarf. I'm trying to figure out if this is them going for a hard commitment with a Terapagos game or not, because that's a big question. Are they hard committed with Terapagos setup here, or are they going to go with an offensive mode with like Calyrex Shadow Rider, Urshifu, maybe like Rillaboom, Incineroar / Amoonguss? Because if they go Terapagos setup, I feel pretty good, but if it's more aggressive with Shadow Rider, Urshifu more as the game plan, it's difficult. We're gonna see. Ooh, interesting. Urshifu plus the Terapagos. So this Shadow Rider is pretty bulky. I'm pretty sure it lives at certain strikes from Urshifu, which is actually pretty good here. So I think I'm going to go for a Bulldoze, and I'm going to go for... I don't have Psychic, which is a bit unfortunate. If I get rid of Urshifu, I'm going to decent offensive spot, but I gotta figure this out. I think the play, I just don't want him to Surging Strikes into Solgaleo plus Earth Power, though. I think that's really unlikely. Oh, man, I want to Sunsteel Strike the Terapagos. You know what? I'm going to Sunsteel Strike the Terapagos. We see a Tera. Is this Terapagos or is this Urshifu? He actually Tera the Urshifu in the water. Okay. So that's not unexpected. I'm pretty sure I live Tera Water Surging Strikes with this Calyrex. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I do. They go for Tera Water Surging Strikes. Yeah, I do. I had a feeling I did, so perfect. Because the Calyrex Shatterer was designed to be bulky here. So now what's important is I do get the Bulldoze off. I lower the speed on the Urshifu, and I get the KO and the Terapagos. Actually, it's better if I don't KO the Terapagos, but we'll see what happens here. Okay. Oh, the next turn's going to be ugly. The next turn's going to be ugly because Shadow Rider is going to come in and then it's going to be a Speed Tie City. I do get the Sunsteel Strike off with the Solgaleo. Probably KOs Terapagos. Oh, it did survive. That's bold, I think. Oh, why did they call Mind with Terapagos? I feel like call Mind here. Okay. Surprised they call Mind because I feel like call Mind doesn't accomplish as much. Okay, this works out really well for me then. Trying to think because I speed tie with Adamant Ursh currently. I'd probably bet it's Jolly Ursh. I think the play is to Bulldoze into Psychic Fangs the Ursh. Because Astral doesn't KO the Ursh at this range anyway. I might as well just go for Bulldoze plus Psychic Fangs. I think I could KO the Ursh with Psychic Fangs, but I don't know. That Sunsteel Strike did less damage to Pagos, so who knows? Psychic Fangs, it does KO the Ursh after the chip damage, okay? So we get rid of the Terramon and probably the most threatening Pokemon to my team realistically. So that's good. As we reveal Flamethrower, but that doesn't KO Soul, but that did do a lot of damage, okay? So this is Terapagos, or this is Calyrex coming in, which is fine. I think my best play is to go Grimmsnarl on this slot and protect the Solgaleo. The reason I'm going to do this is so I can threaten the Thunder Wave into the Calyrex the next turn. Because if I threaten the Thunder Wave, I'm pretty sure that my Incineroar can clean up this endgame. Kind of curious on who the last Pokemon is, if it's Incineroar on their side or not. Did they go for Astral Barrage Starstorm? It probably, if they double up my Shadow Rider slot, I don't think it KOs. I'm like pretty sure it doesn't KOs. Well, I'm in a good spot. Unless they switch out to Pagos. But if they switch out to Pagos, then like it depends on who the last Mon is. So I'm going to go out in a Grimmsnarl. And then I think I'm going to click Rock Slide plus Thunder Wave. Because if I get the flinch chance on Cali, it's good. But we do see the Pago switch out, which makes sense. So they're trying to get momentum with Rillaboom. Okay. So that's fine. Ooh, they protected Cali, so they didn't get astral damage. That's big for me. That's big for me. Okay. How fast is my Incin? My Incin isn't that fast, right? Yeah. I think my best play is to Spear Break the slot and go out into Incineroar, because Spear Break would it KO Terapagos at the range because it took the attacks. I don't think I need Solgaleo that much anymore, but it's still a good mon to have. Incin is just such a safe switch because Intimidate plus I resist Astral Barrage anyway. I'm going for Spear Break so they can't like Encore trap me into something, although I don't think that's like that big of a deal. I think Incineroar can clean this endgame up pretty easily. Especially with Flamethrower Terapagos, since it wasn't Earth Power, they really rely on the Urshifu. They went for the Tera with Urshifu. Yeah, they do swap out. Maybe going for a Woodhammer and a Grim instead, because they need to get rid of the Grimmsnarl as quickly as possible, because Thunder Wave would be annoying. Oh, the Terapagos is lower than I thought, so Thunder Wave should easily get the KO here. Or not Thunder Wave, Spirit Break should get the KO, and then I get a Thunder Wave off into their Calyrex or a Light Screen. But I'd probably Thunder Wave, because Thunder Wave probably has more value at that point. Yeah, they went for the Woodhammer, so they were attempting to KO the Grim, which they do not get. I do get the Spear Break off. Because even if they went for Astral, like they weren't doing that much damage, I do get a crit on the Terapagos. I don't think it really matters at that point. And now we're set up in a phenomenal position to click Thunder Wave into the Cali Shadow. So my Cali Shadow always outspeeds. We can stall out these grassy terrain turns, and then we should be pretty set to go. Like, Assault Vest Instance looking demonic for my opponent to handle now. So we're going to go for Thunder Wave into the Grim, and we're going to go for Fake Out into Rillaboom, because if they decide, hey, I'm going to stall out by protecting so I can go for a Woodhammer, that's not going to happen. And they are going to forfeit because they realize it's really unlikely that they beat the instant, because they don't have any tools to beat this Assault Vest instant, especially if I get a screen up. So they're going to forfeit, which makes sense. And yeah, they did Tera Water to Ursh, and I was like, I'm pretty sure the Shadow Rider, even though this is Sash Shadow Rider, is easy to survive it. And we were, so that was pretty big. I think the fact that they also wasted a turn by going for Calm Mind. I mean, the Flamethrower did do decent damage, but it didn't get a KO the next turn, which was kind of massive. And then, yeah, I was able to kind of snowball once I got a Ursh, because it was their Tera, which meant Terapagos wasn't nearly as much a threat, especially weakened. And they didn't have good answers to instant afterward. Incineroar, Urshifu, Miraidon, Calyrex, Ice Rider, the Grimmsnarl, and Ursaluna. All right, kind of a hybrid between the winners of the Utrecht special event and the... Which regional was it? Was it Indianapolis? I think it was Indianapolis, which was the first one of Reg Eye. Okay, how do I want to perform against this with this team? Because it's a bit tricky. We have Lando Eye, which is really good, but it's not the easiest mon to pilot. I do like having Solgaleo to pressure the Grimmsnarl, though. That is a pretty big helper. I think I'm just going to lead Calyrex plus Solgaleo. I think it's pretty good here. In the back, I definitely bring Incineroar because I want to intimidate. The question is, am I bringing Lando or am I bringing Wellspring? Because Lando helps out against the Miraidon a lot. Wellspring has redirection and helps against Ursh. I am either banking on Ursh being brought or not. I do have backup plans with Lando having Tera Water at the worst case, but obviously not super ideal. I don't know if they'll try to go with Ursh throughout my team, just because of the fact that I do have the Wellspring Ogerpon as an option, but we'll see. Definitely a tough one. Calyrex Miraidon. Okay. Versus Solgaleo and the Calyrex Shadow Rider. So they should Tera the Cali Ice always. In this position. Now, I don't know where the Miraidon's gonna go is the problem. Oh, it's Electric Seed. Well, that's easier to deal with than Clear Amulets, but I don't know how fast a Miraidon is, unfortunately. I could go for Bulldoze plus the Psychic Fangs. Incineroar switching would be ugly, but I do have counterplay. I think we just go for Bulldoze plus Psychic Fangs into Miraidon. Because if I can get rid of Miraidon, that would be super ideal. If this gets rid of Miraidon, because I actually have no idea about like how the calcs are against bulky Miraidons. I don't even know if this is bulky. But we see the Tera. This is always going to be Tera on Cali Ice. Yeah. Like water. Yep. That was pretty obvious, so that works out in my favor. You get the Bulldoze off. It's not Scarf Miraidon, thankfully. I can't tell that damage if Psychic Fangs will KO. I'm hoping with the Bulldoze chip it does, but if it doesn't, this might be a bit of a rough one coming up. We do lower the speed on all of these Pokemon. But more importantly, the Psychic Fangs into Miraidon. It doesn't take the knockout. It misses. But they target Shadow Rider, which is actually big for me because I'd much rather have the Solgaleo healthy at this point. Let's see who's coming in. Ensign? Ursaluna's fine. Okay. It's not ideal, but it's fine. It's manageable. We do see the Trick Room come out. I'm kind of curious. The problem with the Bulldoze on the Cali Ice is Ursaluna was probably guaranteed min speed, but the Cali Ice wasn't. Now that the Cali Ice is slow, they can try to pin the instant slot, which is not great for me. I mean, I think I always have to go instant and protect anyway, but if they attack my instant switch, it's really bad. I mean, really bad. I also am curious, since it's Electric Seed Cali Ice, I'm curious if they have Body Press. Because Body Press Cali was a thing. We bring out the instant. They protect the Cali. What? Oh, are they clicking EQ? EQ makes sense here. They did EQ. Okay. So instant should live 1 EQ as a positive. I'm trying to figure out how the rest is going to go. Yeah, we live 1 EQ. Now the question is, does Ursaluna protect? If it protects, I want to double up the Cali, but if it doesn't protect, I want to double it up because that's probably the most offensive threat right now. I think I'm going to double up the Ursaluna. Ah, they protect. That's bad. Okay. This is manageable still, but this is really rough. I got 2 of the calls wrong here. Oh, they Leech Seed the Soul. Okay. Then that's fine. That's fine. I feel like they're just going to target the instant slot, but I don't know if it's with Facade or if it's Earthquake. It's probably Earthquake, I'd imagine. I have to commit because I've gotten the turns wrong so far and it's been really bad. I think I'm just going to try to Sunsteel Strike KO and go for a Lando switch because the obvious is to protect the soul and do something with the instant, whether it's switch out or parting shot. Let's see. Do they commit here on a read of like Facade or something? Alex protects again. Is EQ? EQ makes sense to me. Okay, perfect. Perfect. That's really good. Yes, because Soul survived. Perfect. It did take more damage than I expected. I thought I was going to live with like at least 20 more HP, but getting the Sunsteel Strike off into Ursaluna. We don't get the knockout, but the fact that we got all that damage does put it into dangerous range of the burn. I could also go out into my Ensign, or I could go into Shadow Rider. How many turns are Trick Room left? I think this is the last turn. I think this is good. I think we go Shadow. Did we go Shadow Rider or did we go Ensign? I think we go Shadow Rider. Well, I wish I could count. I wish I could remember the turns of Trick Room. I'm pretty sure this is the last turn coming up. So I am in a good spot. Potentially. Yeah, it's last turn. Okay, I am correct on that. We're going to protect our Landorus, and we're going to go for a protect with our Cali. And I think Tera Water sub Lando is going to go crazy in this end game. Like, pretty confident it will. We go for Glacial. And the Ursaluna is going to go down to burn this turn. If it doesn't, that's a bit weird because I wanted to Shadow Rider so I could set up against the Miraidon for a KO. All right, Ursaluna down. Perfect. I'm kind of curious on who to bring out as the final Pokemon here. Oh, Grimmsnarl. That is not the Pokemon I would have imagined coming out. Okay. I'm going to go for a substitute and a swap to Instant, I think. Because they're probably just going to go for a Light Screen and a Glacial, I would imagine, here. And the Instant's in a pretty nice spot to get this Intimidate off. Then with the Tera Water, we live, our sub is going to live a Glacial Lance, which is pretty important. And then we can set up this nice endgame position. I'm feeling pretty decent about the spot, but it'd still be spooky. We do see the Light Screen come out. Perfect. As we get the substitute up. I think we live Glacial because this is -2 Cali and I'm Tera Watered. Does nothing to Instant. Yeah, perfect. Okay, awesome. Now I can Sludge Bomb the Grim safely and go for a Fake Out into the Cali. Thinking about if this is right. I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, protect Cali. Okay. I wish I faked out the Grim, but that works. So I get a Sludge Bomb off into the Grim. Damage. I Spirit Break the Instant, but that's not enough to KO. Yeah, wait, no, I'm in a great spot. The Sludge Bomb KOs the Grim here. And then I knock off the Cali, I'm pretty sure. But I'd give it, I'm giving it 2 boosts, which is a problem. Although, if they don't have healing, I need to set this up right. I either need to U-turn. No, they're going to get enough boost anyway. It's better to knock off. Alright, I get the KO on Grim, which is nice. So Grim goes down. Beautiful. I think I have to get the next turn right. We gotta knock off to get rid of the leftovers on the Cali. Oh wait, it's Electric Seed. Why did I forget that? I mean, it doesn't matter anyway, because if I'm staying in, I'm clicking knock off regardless. No, this actually works. No, this works because the end game here, because they went for the Glacial Lance, means that I outspeed the Miraidon with Astral. I can Astral Earth Power and then go for another Earth Power, and I think I guaranteed to win. No, this was correct anyway. Knockoff was correct anyway. If they Trick Roomed, I think it would have been an interesting game, because I think it comes down to like Instant, and I think I would have to sack Shadow Rider, bring in Instant, and threaten the Miraidon that way with a Fake Out. But I guess it also depends on how fast the Miraidon is, because if the Miraidon's faster than my Lando, then it's like a weird, interesting position. But I think I just always win by clicking Earth Power and Astral Barrage here. Astral going to be fired off. We KO'd the Miraidon. Should do like a bit less to Cali than I was hoping for, but okay. Actually, it's Light Screen up, so we'll see how much damage are we doing. Earth Power. Close. Oh, but they Trick Roomed. Interesting. Aren't they at -1? They're -1. I think I always Earth Power Protect. Yeah. Because it's -1 Glacial Land. Shouldn't do much to land. If they Leech Seed, I think I have a pivot afterward. So I think I win now. Guaranteed. If they went for the Glacial, it would have been an interesting mind game between like, do they Glacial or do they just Leech Seed? But yeah. Oh, and I crit the Cali. I mean, the thing is, they went for Glacial and the Glacial's not doing enough. I don't think crit knocks out Lando Eye with Tera Water at the range I'm at afterward. So I think they need a double crit on Lando Eye anyway. But yeah, because I was able to set up that sub with Lando Eye, set up for a good Tera Water endgame position, it ended up working out. Even though I missed a KO onto the Miraidon, it ended up working out just because I was able to get the big damage on Ursaluna. I was able to set up a Shadow Rider, Astral Barrage, into like Earth Power threatening. And yeah, because the no clear ambit on the Cali Ice, it just made it easier and susceptible to Intimidate. Even if it was Leech Seed, it still worked out. All right, we have Kyogre Lunala, which is interesting, with Urshifu, Incineroar, Rillaboom, and Amoonguss. I do not like the looks of this matchup. I mean, I do have my Wellspring Ogerpon, which is probably going to be a solid Mon and a Mon I probably need in this game. I want to bring Wellspring Ogerpon and Incineroar. No screens? Probably. I would like screens, but I don't really like the idea of... Yeah, I think I forgo screens, I suppose. I don't know what kind of Lunala this is. It could be Calm Mind or it could be Trick Room. Both make sense here. I think my play is just to lead Wellspring Ogerpon plus Incineroar because it's pretty good coverage. I get Intimidate off into anything that threatens the Wellspring effectively. And it threatens the Lunala, which is impressive. And then I think Shadow Rider plus Solgaleo endgame. Era-wise, it's either going to be the Cali Shadow or it's going to be the Incin, I think, because I think Ghost Tera might actually be useful here, but we'll see. Daily Lunala and Incineroar, that makes sense, versus my Ogerpon plus Incineroar. All right. I think I always just target down the Incineroar with Ivy Cudgel and I just knock off the Lunala slot turn 1. I don't see a too bad punish for that because I need damage on Incin or I need to get rid of the item on the Lunala. I think that's an okay trade here. Even if they set up a Calm Mind, it's fine. If they Meteor Beam, I live 1 Meteor Beam because I'm Assault Vest Incin, which is a pretty big difference here. So no matter who they fake out, it's okay. They might double up my Ogerpon with Moongeist Beam, which is also a fair play, I'd imagine. But we'll see. I just really got to figure out this Lunala, which actually goes straight for the Tera, so they might be faking out the Wellspring Ogerpon. Yeah, they do Tera the Lunala immediately into the Tera Fairy. I mean, that means it's weak to Solgaleo now, so that's kind of a interesting scenario here for my opponent, but we will see the Tera Fairy just come out immediately, as Fake Out does come out of Wellspring, so they don't want to take the Ivy Cudgel damage. That's fair. Knockoff coming out of Lunala. Are they Trick Rooming? I think this is Trick Room. Oh, it's Leftovers. It is Trick Room. Okay. Interesting. I think that's fine for me. Well, curious how fast their Incin is because I would like to U-turn here. Should I U-turn their Incin just to scout for like their item? Because I'm worried about Wisp and the Ogerpon. I think I'm going to U-turn the Lunala. Because I don't think they have Protect if it's Trick Room. Lefties. It might be Calm Mind. They Flare Blitz the Ogerpon. Okay, for as much damage as possible. Ideally, it's Moongeist Beam into that slot too. That would be super ideal. That would be super ideal. Because we get U-turn off into Lunala. Alright. We bring out our Solgaleo. Don't Moongeist Beam into the Incin slot. Nice. Okay. All right. Not a bad start. Not a bad start. Do I just want to go for the KO into Lunala? Because if I get the KO into Lunala, I feel like I'm in such a good position. I think this is an Incineroar angle for the... So I have two options. I could go I could go for Follow Me plus like Sunsteel Strike. I could go to Incineroar and just go for a Tera Rock attack, which honestly I am pretty much in. I think that is like this play I want to go for. I think I'm gonna do it. I could have protected swap to Incin, which is also fair, but I don't want them to try and get momentum here by like switching hard into Kyogre, because like Lunala could have. I mean, I don't think it has protect, but I think it's ideal to strike now because I think getting this hit off into Lunala is so massive. So I'll go for the Tera Rock because I don't need my Tera in this game. If I keep my Ogerpon Wellspring healthy, I feel like I just don't need the Tera in this game. So we'll go for the Tera Rock just so Solgaleo survives the turn so I can trade for the Lunala. They go for knockoff into the Soul, which is perfect. And is this a double with Moongeist Beam? I imagine so. I mean, I could have protected and then fake out, but I mean, this works, right? Because I get the Sunsteel Strike off into Lunala. And because I get the Sunsteel Strike off into Lunala, this is just such a massive turn. Yeah, it doesn't KO, but that damage is so important. Do I think this is Minspeed Lunala? Probably not, right? I could probably go for a Flare Blitz KO into the Lunala and just click Rock Slide, ideally. Yeah. They don't have good switches. I get a Flare Blitz KO on the Lunala, which is massive. Okay. Lunala is gone. Awesome. And if they decide, hey, I'm going to do something with my Incineroar that isn't go for a Parting Shot, I get the Rock Slide off. So we'll see. Okay, I should have Psychic Fangs. I should have Psychic Fangs, but I still think that this is pretty acceptable because Kyogre is probably one of the last mons, and I'm trying to figure out what their last is. Also, I got to figure out if they're going to lock into Surging Strikes or if they're going to lock into Close Combat with the Ursh. You would assume it's probably choiced on this team, I'd say, because I think the lack of speed is a big thing. If I went for Psychic Fangs, man. If I went for Psychic Fangs. I went for Rock Slide, being a bit too greedy here. So is this Kyogre? Where are you going to close combat? I feel like you close combat the instant if you target the Ursh, but... Hold on, this is the last turn of Trick Room, right? Yeah, it is. I think my best play is to knock off an item here. It's either the Kyogre or the Ursh. I think I always want to knock off the Ursh because of his Choice Scarf, that's ideal. And I think we just protect our soul. If they mess up. But I think this should be close combat, and I think this should be Water Spout. It is Choice Scarf, so now Shadow Rider always outspeeds, which is massive. Kyogre going to go for the Water Spout, that's fine. There's no way this isn't CC, right? Because the Ogerpon switch could be so obvious. That's why I didn't switch in Ogerpon, because if it's Life Orb Ursh on this team, it would have been deadly to switch in that. It's a lot too close combat. Oh, the U-turn. Oh, this is pretty good for me. Yeah, this is pretty good for me. They have no way to punish my Ogerpon from coming in. So they bring out their Incin, and I get to keep a Solgaleo around as a sack if I needed to. Great. Gonna go out into Shadow Rider. I mean, there are still ways this game can go wrong, but I think I'm in a really good spot now. As I just go for a Protect, and I swap into Ogerpon. We know the Kyogre can't be choiced, so my Ogerpon will be able to threaten the Kyogre pretty safely, and I don't have to really worry about like fast Water Spouts or anything. I guess the only issue is I do have to worry about the Urshifu and Aqua Jet, but otherwise, like, if they Aqua Jet, I get the Astro and the Ursh, and that's the only Mon that can really damage my Ogerpon, because all the other Mons can't damage Ogerpon at this range. They also still have to fear the Solgaleo, because if it's not max speed Kyogre, I do outspeed it. Like, if they're not timid, I outspeed the Kyogre. So that's also another factor they have to respect. So they have to get every turn right. I think this play is obvious by me protecting and switching to Ogerpon, but let's see if they go for Parting Shot and Ice Beam here into that slot, because that's what they need to in order to keep up some momentum. Well, they Origin Pulse, I do get some healing. They probably did Parting Shot the Soul slot though, I imagine. And if they didn't, I just guarantee the win here. Oh, no, they didn't. They did not. Knockoff gonna go out into the Shadow Rider. So now I can go for an Astral and an Ivy Cudgel, and yeah, they don't have a switch. I think Kyogre is more likely to have Protect than Instant is, so I will target the Instant with Ivy Cudgel Astral. They Tera the Lunala, so I don't have to worry about Tera on... Well, Tera is just out of the game in general because I have Soul that Tera'd. And yeah, we just go for Astral plus Origin Pulse in the next turn. Depending on who gets sacked here between the Instant and the Urshifu, I go for either Follow Me Astral or I just Ivy Cudgel again. We'll see. But yeah, they're in a really rough spot. I'm about to get a pretty good Astral here. They just leave both Pokemon in, so I should be KOing the Instant with the Rain Boosted Ivy Cudgel. The Kyogre is taking chip damage, which is nice. But here comes Ivy Cudgel into the Instant. Goodbye. And they go for Ice Beam. So they don't even break Sash. They get a crit. No freestyle. Okay. Urshifu in. They probably... Well, do I even have to worry about Aqua Jet anymore? Do I Astral? Astral KOs, right? I mean, I sacrifice Special Attack, though, because this is bulk. I still think the play is to Astral. Actually, no, the play is still to Astral and go for a Ivy Cudgel. Or I guess Woodhammer's fine, too, into Ursh. Yeah, no, that's fine. Because if they go for Aqua Jet, that means they don't target down my Ogerpon. And yeah, the Ursh is in Astral range, which is what I thought. So I was a little bit scared because this isn't max special attack Calyrex, but the Ursh was already super chipped and probably has no bulk since it's Choice Scarf. My Ogerpon outspeeds the Kyogre, so we confirm it's not timid max speed, which means it's just very unlikely that it was able to outspeed my Soul and able to clean up the win. So very nice. Thank you for giving me the Tera on the Lunala, which was incredible for me because I was able to set up a very good position for Wellspring Ogerpon once I was able to get enough damage into that Lunala immediately. Sure, I could have played more patient. I could have gotten Instant in and Lunala, but I knew that they were probably going to try to attack with Lunala since they really need to get rid of Soul there. And if I brought an Instant, it might have just been a passive rotation game. I think the only mistake I made was not going for the Psychic Fangs read into the Instant slot, which I think it was very likely there, so yeah. Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Tornado, Xianpao, Entei, Iron Boulder, and Zamazenta. Alright, what the heck am I looking at right here? Zamazenta is a problem. I'm gonna need Landorus Incarnate because I do not have a way that breaks through Zamazenta easily. I do like the Shadow Rider though. Shadow Rider is good. I break screens or not is a good question. I feel like Shadow Rider Instant is probably one of the best leads. It's gonna be tough though against this team. Yeah, this team is really tough to deal with, mainly because the Zamazenta plus Shadow Rider into Xianpao combo is difficult. I think I go with Calyrex plus my... It's either Calyrex Lando or Calyrex Instant. I kind of like Calyrex Lando. It's the only way I wouldn't like this is if they lead POW, but they might... I don't think they lead POW. And if they do, I could always rotate. I think I always bring Instant. The question is, do I bring Wellspring or Soul? I think I want Soul. Which isn't super ideal. Maybe it was Wellspring because of redirection, but hey, like this is a Solgaleo showcase, so let's see if we can do anything. They also have quite a few rock weeks, so it might actually have some value. Yeah, they let Shadow Rider Zamazenta, so this is actually decent. Do I want to go for a speed tie? I don't think so. I think If I get rid of Zamazenta, I'm in such a good shape. And I mean such good shape. I think my best play is just to Bulldoze here for speed control and Earth Power to Zamazenta. Because I can't double protect because it could be Encore Shadow Rider. I think this is the best play, but we'll see. Oh, they went for Imprison. That's massive because I get the Bulldoze for speed control and that puts the Zamazenta slower than my Lando Eye. So my Lando Eye gets an Earth Power that's massive into the Zamazenta and the Shadow Rider is now slower. That's so massive for me. So I get an Earth Power off into the Zama and I pick up the knockout into the Zamazenta. I mean, I knew that it was really likely to after the Bulldoze chip, but that turn couldn't have gone any better way. They actually went for like that Imprison play turn 1, man. They go into POW, which makes sense. My play is just to always protect with Calyrex and switch to Incin. Always. Also, they don't have protect on the Shadow Rider, so I can play aggressive against the Shadow Rider. Because I am only able to protect if they don't have protect. So they have... What moves do they have? They have Astral for sure. I don't know what the rest will be. We protect our Cali. Haze. They called the instant switch, so that's smart. Oh! Speed drop. But if they have Haze, they probably don't have Sacred Sword then. Okay. This game's been super interesting so far. They haven't committed Tera, so that's a little bit frightening. I can't use Astral. Yep. I think the play here is to sack Lando since I don't need it anymore. And go for a knockoff into the Calyrex. Because we know it doesn't have protect. Is this Tera Blast? This better not be some Tera Blast. Well, I'm a Solvest. I should live one attack. We do see a Tera come out from, I'm guessing this is a Shadow Rider. Okay, it's Tera Ground, yet I still don't even think this is that bad of a situation. Because it does go for Tera Ground, Tera Blast into my Incin, but I'm a Solvest Incin. Yep, I hang on. I go for Ice Spinner, which covers my Lando switch. But this still ends up working out for me because I get a big, powerful knockoff into the Shadow Rider. Oh, Life for POW. Interesting. I mean, it should be Sash Shadow Rider. So it is Tera Blast on the Shadow Rider. It is Sash. Trying to figure out how I set this up correctly. I think it's... Does Incin live an Astral at this range? Probably not. Is it going to come down to Shadow Rider speed tie? I really hope not. Oh man, this is weird. I don't know if... I feel like Pollen Puff might be enough to KO Shadow Rider, but it might not be at the same time. Ah, this is so tough. I think I should have Flare Blitz to Cali for pure power instead. Or U-turn to POW, because only one of them could have been Sash. Ooh. I think the best place to protect in U-turn. I think we got to play a mind game. You go for Astral. Wait, they didn't Sucker? I could have went for Pollen. Okay. Interesting. Instant surviving is huge, actually. Oh, they doubled the instant. Okay. At least they didn't get a boost. But wait, I could have just KO'd the POW there. I wasn't sure if Pollen Puff knocked out the Shadow Rider, and I didn't think it did. All right. We're going for the speed tie. We're going for the Shadow Rider speed tie. Dang, I had such a good start, and then it just comes down to this. Also, for some reason, my phone turned on. and it was listening to me. Unka. We're gonna go for Bulldoze, and we're gonna go for the Tera Rock Slide. As we should KO with the boosted. All we need to do is win the speed tie, get the Bulldoze off, and we win the game. That's all we need to do. A simple plan here. So Solgaleo, you need to put in the work, buddy. They sucker punch my Cali, which makes sense, but I do have Focus Sash. Just gotta win this speed tie. Will we, though? Oh my goodness, hit the Rock Slide. Hit the Rock Slide. Hit the Rock Slide, Soul. This is your moment. You are set up. Tera Rock Slide. +2. The Shadow Rider is slow. The Xianpao is slow. Oh my goodness, that is huge. Goodbye Calyrex, goodbye Xianpao. That is a amazing double knockout right there. As I went for knockoff earlier because I didn't expect it to be like, I thought it could be normal Tera, but it wasn't normal Tera. It was just in prison, sure. All right, beautiful. Let's Iron Boulder. They Tera it, so I don't have to worry about it. They get a Quark Drive. All right, it's not over. It's Speed Booster. Astral Barrage and Sunsteel Strike, because this is a Rock Psychic type, which is one of the worst defensive typings you could have in this situation, unironically. I don't even know if Iron Boulder can knock out. They go for Mighty Cleave. I know it hits for Protect, but man, that move was so weak. That was so weak. So weak. Goodbye, Iron Boulder. What an interesting game. I thought it was set. I didn't expect the Haze Pow. The Terra Ground Terra Blast also caught me off guard because I didn't think it would be Terra Blast in prison. But you know what? It all comes around anyway. It all comes around anyway. It's a Shadow Rider speed tie simulation. What can I say? All right, we have Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Koraidon, Incineroar, Ogerpon, Heartflame, Rillaboom, and Raging Bull. This has been a team that's been popping up quite frequently recently. And let's see. How do I want to perform against this? I don't know if this is a Tera Rock angle with Shadow Rider. I probably bring Incineroar in this matchup because Incineroar is really good here. Lando Eye is tempting, but I don't know if it's correct. Grim Screens is just helpful, and Thunder Wave into Cali would make this a lot easier. I think I'm going to go with Incineroar plus Grimmsnarl. It's just a pretty general safe lead for the most part. Cali Shadow in the back and Solgaleo. Yeah, I think this is fine. I need to build up damage, especially into the Koraidon and the Shadow Rider. I need the Shadow Rider paralyzed. And probably the Koraidon too. Although if I can knock out Koraidon, that would be very nice. Although I really doubt that's going to happen as easily. But if they Tera Fire the Koraidon, then I could probably go for a Tera Rock plan with Solgaleo. But again, I probably need a bit of speed control. We're going to have to see the item on the Koraidon because that's going to be a massive impactor. Let's see. Koraidon plus Raging Bolt lead. Okay. Versus my Incineroar Grimmsnarl. Let's see, are you Life Orb or are you Clear Amulet? Because that's a big thing to think about here. They get the Photosynthesis. Special attack booster. Are you Life Orb or are you Clear Amulet? It is Clear Amulet. Okay, good to confirm. I feel like me faking out the Koraidon might be obvious, but I am not 100% certain. I feel like you always protect Koraidon here, but maybe not. I really want to... If I lose Instant, how bad is it? I feel like if I get damage onto the Raging Bull, it's not awful, but I'm not 100% certain. I think it's just fake out the Raging Bolt and Spirit Break it. Alright, they attack with Koraidon. They also would have let me get a potential Spirit Break off, which is insane to me, but alright. Aggressive turn 1. Cards the Ensign. Ensign goes down. Unfortunate for my Ensign. I do get a Spirit Break off into Raging Bolt at least, so that is going to lower its special attack. It's going to be tough, but it's definitely manageable. That's a good amount of damage for Raging Bolt. Jeez. I don't hate this spot, but I don't love it either. I think my best place to go Solgaleo. I think it's to go Solgaleo and throw off the Rock Slide. Am I crazy? I think I am, but I think that might work. Because the Raging Bolt's in range. If I go for Rock Slide plus Reflect, I might be good. I could also... actually, the play might be to protect Solgaleo and go for a Reflect. I think that might be better, actually. Because I don't know if they're going to Tera Fire commit or not. I think they might, which is why I'm going to Reflect here. We do see the Tera committed, okay? From the Koraidon, that makes sense. Into the Fire Tera, alright? Tell me what you got. If they KO Grim, I don't actually mind that, because if they KO Grim, I get a free Bulldoze into Rock Slide interaction, which is actually not bad for me. You go for Thunderclap, okay. And we get the Reflect up. They Flame Charge the Grim. I mean, that's kind of fine. Yeah, that's kind of fine. It's not as ideal, but I don't think that's terrible. I'm gonna go for the Tera Rock Slide. Do I Thunder Wave or do I just... I think I Thunder Wave Koraidon, because if I get the flinch chance, that's also a thing that can happen here. Although I don't... Well, actually, if it's clear I'm at Koraidon, it shouldn't be max speed. So Solgaleo can outspeed and I can get a Rock Slide plus Thunder Wave off, which would be massive. But let's see. We go for Thunderclap into Soul, which I am able to tank. We do get a Thunder Wave off. It's Life Orb Raging Bolt, so it did a bit more than I was hoping for, but this is still manageable. I do get the Thunder Wave off into Koraidon. This endgame is going to be tricky. We do land a Rock Slide, so it should be Sash Shadow Rider then. Oh, we don't KO the Raging Bolt, which is kind of annoying. We crit the Koraidon, and we get the flinch. Okay, nice. We got the setup. We got the setup like we wanted. Pretty sure my place to always Rock Slide, and I think it's swap out the Grimmsnarl into Shadow Rider. Because Light Screen's not going to change anything at this current moment. They're just going to go for a Thunderclap anyway. Get the Shadow Rider in while the Focus Sash available. This might be a mistake, but let me see. They protect Koraidon, which is actually kind of big. All right. And they Thunderclap for the KO. I should have actually Psychic Fangs, I guess, the Koraidon, but I think I'd rather Rock Slide in case the Raging Bolt decide to go for the Rock Slide dodge and Thunderbolt. So this works out because the Shadow Rider is in and it's able to threaten quite a bit here. Now, I don't know what the last Pokemon is. That's my concern. I have no idea what the last Pokemon is. It is the Calyrex. Because Calyrex Shadow Rider, that makes sense, right? But we don't know what the last is. My play is to protect an Astral, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Alright, protect the Soul so it's still around. As we get an Astral. Last Pokemon's really important. Like, are you Incineroar? Because if you're Incineroar, I have to change how I'm playing this endgame. But we'll see. We break the Sash on the Shadow Rider. Koraidon goes down. I get the boost on the Calyrex, which is nice. At worst case, I can go for a Speed Tie. Actually, There might be a world. Well, it depends on, again, who is the last. I think if it's Rillaboom, I always lose. But I'm not sure if they brought Rilla against my team. I feel like Incin or Ogerpon make more sense. It's Ogerpon. Oh, I do have to go for the speed tie. That's frustrating, but I do. There's nothing that changes this position from being a speed tie. If it was Incin, I was going to switch out Soul into Grimmsnarl Protect. It's literally just a speed tie. Ah, Calyrex Shadow Rider stuff. Oh, sending it. Well, we win the speed tie, so we should win the game off that. Even if we miss Rock Slide, we have to miss 2 moves afterward. So I do get the Astral into Calyrex to take the knockout. Beautiful. And then the Ogerpon is going to go for, I don't know, whatever it wants. Unless I'm faster with Soul, which I am faster than Soul. So I do get a Rock Slide off and KO the Ogerpon. So was it the best managed? Probably not. I think I ended up taking more damage and could have faked out. Spirit broke the fake out plus Spirit break the, what's it called, the Koraidon turn 1. I'm really surprised they would let me. I thought they were going to Tera Fire attack, which means I got the Tera committal, or more likely I thought it was going to be Protect. So yeah, I mean, I guess they didn't want me to get momentum with both screens. I thought they would maybe play a bit defensive on the Thunder Wave. They could go Incin, which would have been a good play if they had it, because like the Koraidon could have went into Incin, which is also why I didn't want to target the Koraidon. So it was a few mind games here and there. I did get lucky with the Thunder Wave, Rock Slide, but that's just a combination that was like, okay, the odds are decently in my favor to go for Thunder Wave, Rock Slide. Wasn't expecting all that, but was able to get the one turn where they weren't able to move, and yeah, I just capitalized, and then it just Shadow Rider speed tie. Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, I could play around the speed tie if there was an Incineroar, if it was Rillaboom, which I really didn't think they were going to bring against my team. I thought it was unlikely. Ogerpon, it just had to be a speed tie. Like, that's just how it goes. Koraidon, Raging Bolt, Ho-Oh, Fluttermane with Incineroar and Iron Treads. Okay, Iron Treads probably mainly for it's just funny seeing Iron Treads, but it's mainly probably for the Miraidon matchup. This is going to be an interesting team. I do have quite a few things that I can keep in mind. I do like Calyrex Shadow Rider for setting up the Solgaleo. Rock Slide's actually really good to have here. They do have, I do want to set up screens because it's going to be hard to deal with the Koraidon, and I would like to Thunder Wave the Koraidon if possible. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Landers is really tempting. I also like Incineroar quite a bit. I wonder where the Clear Amulet is, because it's either the Koraidon or the Ho-Oh. I think Incineroar is a pretty good lead across the board. I think Incineroar plus Grimmsnarl makes sense. I do want Solgaleo. It's the question, do I bring Landers or do I bring Shadow Rider? Because if I don't have Calyrex, I'm never going to have anything for my Solgaleo to set up. But Landers Earth Power is so tempting against this team. You know what? I think I'm going to bring the Calyrex. So ideally, the big threat is mainly going to be the Koraidon. If I can handle the Koraidon, it's a lot easier this matchup, especially if I get a Thunder Wave off, because that means my Solgaleo should be able to put in a lot of work. We're going to see the Grimmsnarl plus the Fluttermane. So this is a pretty good lead for us. We do get the Incineroar plus the Grimmsnarl out. And let's see, is a Clear Amulet on the Koraidon? Because that's a big question here. We can fake out the Koraidon and go for a Light Screen. It is probably Life Orb. Okay, good to know. I'm going to go for Fake Out into the Koraidon. And I do want to set up a Light Screen here. Yes. All right, no switches. Fake Out does come out of Koraidon. Don't be Covert Cloak. It shouldn't be Covert Cloak on this team. But we do get the Light Screen. There should be a Moonblast and a Grim. Oh, they go for Taunt. Ooh, okay. All right. Interesting. Also, they didn't tear the Koraidon, so they are vulnerable to Spirit Break. If I Spirit Break them, they're in a lot of trouble. I don't know if I would Tera Rock in this game. I could Tera my Incineroar right here. Because Tera to Incineroar is not bad. Because I can go for a U-turn, for instance, in the Fluttermane to break a Sash. And I could go for Spirit Break and a Koraidon. So I think I'm willing to go for it. They decide not to Tera anything. Okay. As I do go for the Tera Ghost here. I think this is still a decent trade-off, but I'm curious on what they're aiming for. Who are they going to target? I feel like it's Incineroar, but we'll see. They Moonblast my Grimmsnarl. Okay. A lot of damage. They Flare Blitz. Okay, so they doubled the Grim. Unfortunate for me, I could have maybe went into Shadow Rider here. I mean, this isn't that bad of a situation, but it's not amazing. As we do get the U-turn off into the Fluttermane. I don't need the Rock Tera, but it would have been nice. But I think this is still okay. I mean, crit doesn't matter. I was just bringing it down to Sash. So we go out in a Shadow Rider here. Yeah, we go Shadow Rider. And then I think I threaten to knock off into Fluttermane. Or I Flare Blitz. Flare Blitz with KO, which would be nice. Because if it's Tom Fluttermane, you shouldn't have Protect, which is pretty ideal. Yeah, I'm going to go out into Incineroar. We get another Intimidate off into Koraidon. We threaten the Flare Blitz. Kind of curious on what they decide to go for. I kind of want to just switch out into my Solgaleo and click Flare Blitz. No, I think actually the best place is just to protect Callie and go for Flare Blitz. Yeah. Because Flare Blitz and Sun will do a ton of damage. They do switch out to Koraidon, so I could have maybe tried to punish it, but I still think this is fine. Flare Blitz is going to do a lot too there. Fluttermane, they swap out into Incin, which makes a lot of sense. Okay. That's why I debated about going to Solgaleo. I mean, there wasn't really much risk here, I suppose. Oh, wait, they Tera to Flutter. Interesting. Into normal. Oh, interesting. I went for Flare Blitz for immediate damage, but that means the Koraidon can't Tera anymore, so that's actually good for me. Okay. As we protect our Callie. They go for Icy Wind. That's also another reason, because I thought they might Icy Wind over Shadow Ball. But I think this is actually pretty decent, because this is a Flare Blitz and Sun. It should actually do a good amount of damage here. But here's a Flare Blitz. Goodbye, Fluttermane. Yeah. Because I had the Assault Vest, I was pretty safe with my Incineroar. I didn't think they were going to stay into Flare Blitz when I could go for like Fake Out Astro, clear the board if I really wanted to, since I had Sash on the Shadow Rider. We do get rid of the Fluttermane. Yeah, that's a pretty decent trade-off here. Oh, gonna come out. Okay. I don't know. I feel all right. The problem is I kind of need both Shadow Rider. I think I should have switched to Soul. If I switched to Soul, I was in much a better spot. This is playable, but it's not as good as a position as I would have liked. Okay. Right, Astro doesn't change anything here. I don't know if they're going to target the Incin, but I think I'm going to I think they double up my Callie. That's the thing. I think they're doubling up my Callie. Could knock off Sacred Fire. That's what I would do if I was them. So I don't think they're going to go for the Fire move into Soul, but if they do, I'm in trouble. But I think they're going to target the Callie, because I think the Callie's the biggest threat here. I just hope... Well, if this is Tailwind, it's fine, because I can go for switch to Instant Fake Out, I suppose. I want the Policy activated, because I need the Policy to actually do damage here. We lower the speed on Incin, which matters. Oh, it is Tailwind. Okay, wait, hold up. Tailwind is interesting here. They knock off my Shadow Rider, but my Shadow Rider is Focus Sash, so this works out actually really good for me. Okay, wait, hold up. This might be doable. This might be doable, but I gotta get the turns right. I am hoping they don't double up my Shadow Rider here. If they knock off the Shadow Rider, it's okay. But I just need turns to stall out the Tailwind. So it's clear I'm on hold. That makes sense. I just need Instant to survive the turn. If Instant survives the turn, I feel really good shape with going for Fake Out Rock Slide. A Sacred Fire, my Solgaleo, which is really good. This better not be Parting Shot, because if it's Parting Shot... Well, if it's Parting Shot, the sun's... Here's the thing. The sun is out. So they don't have access to the sun anymore, which means I don't think they can take a knockout into Soul, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken. Because the sun's about to fade, right? I'm like pretty confident it is. Yeah. So the sun fades, which is actually perfect timing. Okay. Either Flare Blitz or Sacred Fire. It's Life Orb Koraidon, so they'll do more damage. Sacred Fire is a weaker move. I think my play is to fake out the Koraidon and just Rock Slide. Because if I get rid of Ho-Oh, it sets up nicely, I think, this endgame. I think the endgame is set up nicely for my Shadow Rider. Assuming I get the fake out into the Koraidon and a Rock Slide for some pretty good chip. Now, I might need to dodge a Sacred Fire, but I just don't think Sacred Fire KOs my Solgaleo. Solgaleo has decent defense. Alright, they same with both, which is great. Okay, I get the fake out. Sacred Fire comes out, yep. Soul does survive. No burn, and we hit the Rock Slide. That's so massive. That's so massive. Okay. So Ho goes down. I gotta get the next turn right, though. I gotta get the next turn right. Instant is gonna come out. I feel like... Because the only way I damage their instant is Solgaleo. So Solgaleo is needed to win. They know that, but I have no idea what they're going to go for. Because I feel like Flame Charge is going to come out from Koraidon. It's either Flame Charge or Solgaleo, but I think you could Flame Charge the instant as well. I got to get this turn right. If I get this turn right, I win the game. If I get this turn wrong, I lose. It's just who do they target with the Koraidon with Flame Charge? I think I go for U-turn into the instant, and I think I protect the Soul. If you go for any move that isn't Flame Charge and instant, I win the game. It's Scale Shot. No, 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 no. Why you Scale Shot? Why you Scale? Why you Scale Shot? Oh, no. Why you Scale Shot? Oh. Wait, was it Life Orb or was it loaded dice? I should have attacked aggressively with Soul. I targeted aggressively with Soul. I thought about it too, but I guess they don't have Flame Charge. It's Scale Shot. Oh, I was in a good spot if it wasn't Scale Shot. Because if it was Flame Charge, I don't know if Instant lived a knockoff. That's the thing. If Instant lived a knockoff and I get the U-turn off, I think I'm still in an okay position. Now it's really bad. Although I do have one out. I do have one out, which is reading where the Koraidon's attacking and getting it right. I think the play is to get the double protect with Soul. Let's see. If they target my Shadow Rider, they got me good. But I do fail the double protect, so it's very unlikely I win the game. Yeah, they went for Flare Blitz. So if I get the double protect, I get the astral damage in the instant, KO to Koraidon, and then single target Rock Slide. I don't know if it KOs instant at +2 even, but that was my only hope there. And I did go for my odds, so I knew that there was a chance they doubled my instant because how important Soul was for cleaning up the instant, because it was my only damage dealer to beat instant. But I didn't think it was Scale Shot Koraidon. I guess, did the Koraidon ever get an attack off? It did. It did get a hit off earlier in the game, turn 2, because they doubled my non-instant slot because I Tera Ghosted. I guess the Tera Ghost was the... Well, Tera Ghost was a safe play, but it wasn't the best play. But mainly it was just mind games of like where the attacks were. And I knew that they were going to have to try to get like some speed factor in with Koraidon, because the Koraidon doesn't boost its speed. Then Shadow Rider comes in for free, either through the U-turn or through the free switch, and then I just outspeed and KO the Calyx or the Koraidon with my Calyx Shadow Rider without it. So I knew there was speed control mode somewhere, but unfortunately it had to be scale shot, and it targeted my instant and did enough damage so knockoff was guaranteed to KO my instant, which that was rough. Otherwise I would have had to Psychic Fangs the Koraidon, so it was a read on that turn. But I do think for how bad that game was looking, I think I brought it to pretty decent odds. Maybe I could have just Psychic Fangs though the Koraidon, because if I Psychic Fangs the Koraidon, I think I gotten it, but I didn't know if they were going to risk the Koraidon or not that turn. All right, let's go over the games. In game 1, Tera the Urshifu instead of Terapagos turn 1. A quick note, I misread the Calyx spread. I thought the Calyx always lived a Surging Strikes with Tera Water with an Adamant Urshifu, because I thought the Calyx Shadow Rider had more physical defense. It did not, and it might have probably been Jolly Urshifu and we were able to live the Surging Strikes, which is pretty common because a lot of the Urshifus have been running Jolly to outspeed like modest Chi-Yu, so it does make a lot of sense there. So I can see why Calyx Shadow Rider, but it was a bit of an aggressive play, but it did end up working out. It was still a roll, but if it was Adamant max attack, which it would have had to been, it was in their favor. Otherwise, if they weren't max attack, I still had a pretty good chance of living. Solgaleo was able to do a lot of damage, remove the Urshifu, and then my double dark types in the back were too hard to handle, especially for the Calyx Shadow Rider remaining. In game 2, let me just say Tera Water Landorus Eye came in clutch, because after missing the knockout into the Miraidon, it was looking a little bit tricky because I did lose my sash on the Calyx Shadow Rider early. Fortunately, it wasn't the Solgaleo because I needed the Solgaleo to do damage under Trick Room, and it was able to put in work against the Ursaluna, as I was able to get a Sunsteel Strike and put in range of Burn, which was incredibly helpful. And then I was able to set up a situation for Tera Water Landorus Eye to really do well against the Intimidate Calyx Ice Rider behind that substitute, which was able to block the Leech Seed. In game 3, was able to remove the Lunala thanks to my Solgaleo because of the fact that they went for the Terra Fairy with Lunala to avoid the knockoff from my Incineroar doing a bunch of damage, and that allowed my Wellspring Ogerpon into a phenomenal position to handle the remaining Pokemon next to the Calyx Shadow Rider. In game 4, I don't even know what to say about this. Hey Xianpao imprisoned Terra Ground, Terra Blast, Calyx Shadow Rider. Like, I thought it was a really strong start that I had there because I had went for the Bulldoze Earth Power KO to Zamazenta. I thought I was in a really phenomenal spot. And then it started going downhill, and it came down to, you know, the drill, the Calyx Shadow Rider speed ties, and we were able to get it and win with our Shadow Rider. In game 5, well, I did go a little bit hard on the commitments and they didn't exactly pay off. I lost my Incineroar immediately, and yes, I did get a good Spirit Break on the Raging Bull, but I would have preferred knocking out the Koraidon easily. However, still ended up being okay thanks to the fact that I was able to pilot well with the Thunder Wave Rock Slide combination that the Solgaleo and the Grimmsnarl provided, especially super effective against the Solgaleo, which was super helpful. And then Shadow Rider speed ties, that's just what the game came down to, and I was able to win it. In game 6, not the best use of my Terastallization since it didn't end up getting targeted with my Incineroar, but I did get a nice Fluttermane knockout on the Flare Blitz into their Terra Normal Fluttermane. However, got the read of Solgaleo getting targeted wrong, and they had Scale Shot Koraidon, which was worst case since Incineroar had no chance of surviving. Maybe could have anticipated it if I looked carefully. I didn't notice the items on the Koraidon enough, and since it wasn't the Clear Amulet and since it wasn't the Life Orb, it was most likely that loaded Dice Scale Shot, so I could have probably made a bit more of an aggressive target, especially utilizing my Solgaleo. Double Protect could have also won me the game as well, but I could have just won the Mind Game earlier, so I think I put myself in a decent spot to win with odds, but of course they did get the better read call. So how was the Solgaleo? It's just an interesting restricted because you have to go max speed if you want to outspeed opposing Calyx Shadow Riders with the Solgaleo, so it can go for the double up follow-up. However, I think it's a really cool option, and the Bulldoze Pollen Puff Calyx Shadow Rider was super sick. The combination of just like a classic balance with like Incineroar, Grimmsnarl, the Landorus Incarnate, Ogerpon, they all made sense on the roles of what they could accomplish with the team. And I thought it was a really interestingly designed team, and it was able to do pretty decently well. It had a 5-0 start. Unfortunately, Zach did go 5-0 to 5-3 to miss the day 2 of the Portland Regional Championship, but I do think the team really showcased how strong it could be. If you would like to check out the details of the team and the creator, it'll be linked in the description down below. But if you would like to try the team for yourself, the rental code is on your screen. Hopefully it's still available by the time the video comes out. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.